So Liu Kang is beginning his second match, and it's against none other than Katana.
To win your next match, use the element which brings life.
What? Katana!
She tries to sneak some advice to him, which Shang Tsung does not appreciate. Come to think of it, if he wanted to keep them apart, why did he have them fight? Maybe he was hoping they'd kill each other?
You disappoint me. Not very wise.
And now it's Liu Kang versus Sub-Zero. Round 1. Fight! Not quite as impressive as the Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight, but still pretty damn awesome. And Sub-Zero is quite the acrobat. Oh, that can't be good. Uh-oh, now what you gonna do, Liu?
Use the element which brings life.
Thanks, movie. I totally forgot about that conversation that happened a few minutes ago.
Water.
Well, that was a very convenient shape the ice took on. Aw, bye, Subby. See you next They should have had Liu follow Johnny's example and end the scene this way.
Is it time?
Well, Goro is anxious to fight, and he's about to get his chance. Jesus Christ, can you imagine being the poor schmuck who has this for an opponent? I think I would drop dead on the spot just to avoid going anywhere near that. Pretty decent representation of what Goro is like in the games. I do kind of wish we'd seen the chest thump in action. I always thought it looked so brutal.
Flawless victory.
Technically, the other guy did get a jump kick in, so that was not a flawless victory, Shang Tsung.
Your soul is mine.
Afterwards, the Earthrealm defenders are understandably a bit apprehensive now that they know what they're up against. Raiden tells them that they have to overcome their greatest fears if they are to succeed.
You, Johnny, are afraid you're fake, so you'll rush into any fight just to prove you're not. You, Sonya, are afraid to admit even you sometimes need help. You fear your own destiny. Despair is the most dangerous fear of all. I know this. And so does Shang Tsung. You must be prepared.
At the beginning of the next day, Liu meditates as Johnny and Sonya are having a moment, or as close to a moment as these two are capable of having, I guess.
I can't let what happened to Art happen to you. Not to you.
I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of this movie's attempt at a romantic subplot. There wasn't a whole lot leading up to it, and it feels kind of forced at this point. Like they only added it because they thought they had to.
Challenging Goro, eh?
And Johnny decides to face Goro earlier than he was supposed to.
In return, I reserve the right to challenge the winner myself, or another of my choosing.
Why does it feel like Johnny just made a deal with the devil?
I don't think so.
Apparently Raiden has that same feeling, because he tries to stop it, but it's too late.
What have you done?
I made a choice.
But apparently that's what Raiden wanted?
Good. At last, one of them is understood.
Huh. And the battle begins. And by the way, while Goro's actual speaking lines are done by someone else, that's Frank Welker doing those little vocal sounds.
Finish him quickly.
Ooh, cheap shot, Johnny. I know fans complain about the lack of accuracy there because you can't actually do that to Goro in the game, but admit it, you wish you could.
Damn!
And TMI regarding Goro's balls of steel.
Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole.
he got 2 cheap shots on Goro. I'm not sure that's a good way to show that he's a serious fighter, but oh well. He did technically beat him, so go Johnny.
This is where you fall down.
Unfortunately, this is also the part where Sonya's character development falls down.
I hereby exercise my right to challenge. I challenge.
She goes from being a strong, independent woman who don't need no man to getting stuffed in a fridge. I don't so much mind her being captured in general, just the way this movie goes about it is kinda lame. I'll go more into that later. Anyway, Raiden is not able to follow them into Outworld, but Liu and Johnny are.
Good luck.
Say they'll need it, you know you're dying to. Come on.
They'll need it.
Lou, I hate this place. I'm in a hostile environment. I am completely unprepared. I'm surrounded by people who probably want to kick my ass. It's like being back in high school.
I love that line.
What are you doing?
Ooh, nice catch. Reptile pulls a neat trick here. I guess it's him doing it. Liu Kang must have gotten 2 flawless victories and a fatality without blocking while there was a shadow flying in front of the moon at the pit stage. Yeah, unlocking Reptile in the original game was stupid complicated. You know, all 3 ninjas have a similar fighting style, and they're all super powered to an extent, but I'm suddenly noticing that each of them has a different strength. Scorpion seems pretty strong, Sub-Zero is acrobatic, and Reptile is just really fast. I don't know if that's consistent with their game counterparts or not, but it's kind of cool that each is somewhat unique outside of their gimmicks, despite looking similar. Dude, you have pissed off Liu Kang. I always hated when Liu Kang did that to me in the game. Okay, so that happened.
Oh no, you don't.
Come with me.
So Katana has caught up with Liu, as has Johnny, at some point. Where was he when Liu was fighting Reptile anyway? Probably off somewhere fighting Smoke or Noob Saibot off screen. It turns out that Shao Kahn isn't actually from Outworld. He conquered it and now he owns it. So Sonya is wearing a sexy outfit now and is in chains, which has some pretty unfortunate implications. We'll just move on from that. Ah, there's the logo.
Fight me in Mortal Kombat.
Go to hell. My friends will come.
They're already here.
Ooh, busted.
You'll fight me. I am Liu Kang, descendant of Kung Lao. I challenge you to Mortal Kombat.
Nice dress.
Yeah, Sonya's reaction is pretty much the same as mine. Time for the boss battle. Wow, they move so fast you can barely see them. Apparently Shang Tsung is so badass he's never bled before. Oh no, that's just cheating. But of course Liu Kang wasted them all because he's Liu Kang and you don't fuck with Liu Kang.
Liu Kang! I can see into your soul. You will die.
Keep chewing that scenery, Shang Tsung. I hear it's good for your teeth.
Face me.
Almost forgot he could do that.
Liu. Chan chose his own path. Every man is responsible for his own destiny. Shang Tsung killed my brother. You're mine.
Well, he faced his fear, but he's still getting his butt kicked. Now what?
Chosen one.
I am the chosen one.
Shang Tsung begins losing hold on the souls he consumed, which is the source of his power.
Freedom!
They are mine.
Forever!
Liu Kang performs Dragon Fire and it is super effective, causing Shang Tsung to die in pretty much the way we already expected. Yeah, the spikes look cool and all, but they made the end of the fight pretty predictable.
Flawless victory.
Not even close. Who are you trying to fool? Ugh, the bit with the eye sockets makes me cringe. That was pretty graphic compared to the rest of the movie. So the souls that Shang Tsung was keeping imprisoned are free and...
Chan.
One day, we will be reunited. But until then, my spirit will always be with you.
Aww. Yeah, kinda contrived, but still, aww. And Liu Kang is finally at peace with his brother's death.
Let's go home.
Aw, look how happy everyone is.
I guess you knew it would end this way.
Didn't have a clue.
God damn it, Raiden.
You humans are so unpredictable.
Bow to Dr. Claw.
The Emperor.
Weak, pathetic fools. I've come for your souls.
I don't think so.
The end. So that was Mortal Kombat the movie. Could have been better? Oh, definitely. The acting isn't spectacular, but it's not so bad it's distracting, with the possible exception of Shang Tsung and Raiden, but I actually get a lot of enjoyment out of them. I feel like the actors are having fun with it. It's cheesy, the CG is really dated, and even with the PG rating, I think they could have gotten away with a lot more. Lack of blood isn't a big deal, but I think they could have gotten away with more violence at least, even if it involved creative editing to get around the censors. But it is still so much fun. If nothing else, it is 100% fan service, and it is actually quite faithful to at least the first two games. Also, I feel like they were at least trying to make a good movie. There are a lot of great establishing shots that are just beautiful and really set the mood, and there's a lot of attention to detail. I feel like they really went the extra mile in that area, and it does not go unnoticed. The fight scenes work really well too. There's a good amount of cutting to different angles, but just enough to keep it interesting, not so much that you can't follow what's happening. And I love that occasional side view shot that's kind of reminiscent of the games, and they're smart enough not to overuse it. Not to mention that wonderfully intense soundtrack that really helps get your blood pumping. And yeah, the characters, while not being exact clones of their game counterparts to the point of looking ridiculous, are pretty damn accurate.
Johnny Cage.
Johnny Cage is kind of an actor stereotype, and he really hammed it up in the games, where he was originally played by Daniel Pesina in the first two games. The main difference is that the movie version wears street clothes instead of the black shorts or pants he wears in the games, which makes sense because he loses his luggage, so he's stuck wearing what he came in for the rest of the movie. He even performs the friendship, which was a nice nod to Mortal Kombat 2. Fun fact! When they were originally making the Mortal Kombat game, they wanted to have a digitized Jean-Claude Van Damme in it, but either they couldn't afford the rights to use his image or he was unavailable due to a scheduling conflict. So Johnny Cage was made as an XB and borderline parody of him. In fact, his original outfit is really similar to the outfit Van Damme wore in Bloodsport. His famous split punch move also came from that movie. Apparently Brandon Lee was originally cast as Johnny Cage for the first film, but he died before filming began.
Liu Kang.
Speaking of XBs, Liu Kang started out as one of Bruce Lee. He wore the same pants Bruce Lee wore in Enter the Dragon, which the Mortal Kombat movie apparently borrows heavily from. He even does the yell. In the games, anyway. As I mentioned earlier, Ho Sung Pak played Liu Kang in the first two games. He also played Shang Tsung in the first, so he actually appears 3 times in this image. In the movie, Liu Kang appears in street clothes up until the tournament begins, at which point he is changed into something a little more similar to the Bruce Lee pants from the game. Sonya Blade. Definitely a good thing they changed her outfit, since she originally looked like she was in aerobic gear. And that Mary Lou Retton victory pose didn't help, which I guess is still better than looking like a stripper like in the later games. For most of the movie, she's in a stripped-down version of her uniform. For the fighting scene, she's wearing shorts and a tank top. Not sure where those came from. I guess we're supposed to think this is her uniform stripped down further. though it looks more like she cut the legs off her pants and then they grew back later. But anyway, I thought they made a good choice having her wear black and be tough as nails. She is a total badass, and I totally dig that. For most of the movie. I'm really not a fan of how she gets stuffed in a fridge at the end. Might not have been as bad if we'd seen her put up a good fight at least, but her being grabbed happens off screen and it comes across as kind of effortless. And again, her wearing a freaking sexy dress is totally out of character for her, so I don't even want to know how Shang Tsung got her into that. This is getting kind of uncomfortable, so I'm gonna move on.
Raiden.
They definitely used a lot of artistic license with Raiden, but his general look is still there. He's still wearing all white as he did in the first game, with a robe over it, and we do get to see the coolie hat briefly. The long white hair was a unique addition at the time, but it eventually made it into the games. Some have complained that Raiden was played by Christopher Lambert rather than someone who is, well, Asian. I could argue that since he's a god, he can probably look however he wants. But if that's the case, it makes more sense that he'd make himself look more like his followers. Oh well. For what it's worth, Carlos Pesina probably isn't Asian either, and frankly in the games he never did have especially Asian-looking features, so I don't see why only the movie should be held to that standard. Raiden was originally based off of the character Lightning from Big Trouble in Little China. I haven't seen that, but I probably should. Anyway, I love how Raiden was portrayed in this movie. Mostly serious, mostly badass, but not without a sense of humor that can be downright goofy at times. And making him one of the good guys was an interesting choice. I don't think the earlier games intended that, but it was something that ended up in later games. Also, as an interesting fact, in the French dub, Christopher Lambert did his own voice. Kano was portrayed as a total scumbag, which is fitting. In the games, he originally was supposed to be of American and Japanese descent. Trevor Goddard was actually going for a Cockney English accent, but to Americans it sounded more Australian, so in the later games he is apparently portrayed as Australian.
Scorpion. Sub-Zero.
Regarding these two, I know some fans complain that their story from the games regarding Scorpion seeking revenge on Sub-Zero for murdering him was downgraded to a brief mention of them being mortal enemies.
Deadliest of enemies, but slaves under my power.
I get it, and I agree that it would have been interesting to see it played out, but I also get why they did this. There are 9 characters in the game, and basically they couldn't focus on all of them equally and still have a coherent story, so it was either downplay the story of a couple characters or leave them out completely. Frankly, Scorpion and Sub-Zero did get a pretty decent amount of screen time, and every scene featuring them is badass and memorable, some of the best scenes in the movie in my opinion, so I kinda don't mind. Also, visually they are pretty damn accurate, though it seems a bit weird for a ninja to wear leather, but it does look better than quilted fabric would have. Sub-Zero appears to create ice by pulling moisture out of the air and freezing it, which is a pretty nifty and convincing way to handle it. As for Scorpion, they took some interesting artistic license with his harpoon. Instead of it literally being a harpoon that he throws, it appears to be a serpent of some kind whose mouth ends in a sharp point, which presumably would have acted as an arrowhead. Sadly, we never see him successfully use it on anyone.
Reptile.
Then we have Reptile, who is yet another ninja, only this one is green. Yeah, the early Mortal Kombat games were notorious for palette swapping. Put all of them together and they look like the Rainbow Ninja Squad. Anyway, he was a secret character who you could fight in the original game, but then he became a playable character in Mortal Kombat 2 and onward, where it was revealed that he was a reptilian creature in disguise. The movie took that a step further and made him this chameleonic creature that becomes a palette swap ninja late in the movie. Though they don't explain exactly how that works, but whatever. He was pretty much shrouded in mystery in the first game too, so I'm okay with that. Too bad the CG didn't have the chops to pull it off better, but oh well. Goro's design is a bit weird, but I think that's due to the fact that he needed to be done with animatronics, so they had an actor doing the legs and the bottom set of arms, with the top set of arms and the head being animatronic. It works well enough. He's only half human and half dragon anyway, so his proportions don't have to be human-like. He does look a bit top-heavy, though, in those shots where you can see his whole body. Shang Tsung looks more like his younger Mortal Kombat 2 self, since making him look like an old man would have involved a lot of makeup that probably wouldn't have looked convincing. His ability to absorb the souls of his victims is a reference to Mortal Kombat 2 as well. His outfit is completely original, though, which I'm fine with. I still think it looks pretty cool. And again, I love his character. He really chews the scenery, and it's just fun to watch. Anyway, thanks for humoring me as I talked about the games for a bit. Since I stopped playing the games a while back, this is probably the closest I'll ever get to doing a game den on Mortal Kombat. Mainly it was just the first 2 games that I loved. I couldn't get too into Mortal Kombat 3. Scorpion was my favorite, which I'm sure comes as a shock to absolutely no one, with Sub-Zero being a close second, so with Scorpion being absent and no Cyrax doesn't count, and Sub-Zero being nearly unrecognizable to me, it just kinda left a bad taste in my mouth. By the time more sequels came out, I was out of my fighting game phase, so that's it. But to expand on what I said way back in the very beginning, I do think this is a better adaptation and even a better movie overall than Silent Hill. And it's not just because it's more accurate to the source material. I am aware that an adaptation does not have to be 100% faithful to the source material to be good, and sometimes it's even better if it isn't. I concede that sometimes changes are necessary. Really, my biggest complaint about Silent Hill was that it made a lot of unnecessary changes, partly because the director had an ulterior motive and wanted to make a statement about motherhood, which was not what the original game was about. And then he tried to go back and added a lot of fan service in the form of things that were symbolic in the games but rendered meaningless in this setting. Plus, the movie just thinks it's a lot smarter and deeper than it actually is, and the story is a big convoluted mess. And yet it takes itself so damn seriously that it's just painful to watch. If you want more detail about my opinions on that, see the video I made years ago about the top 5 things I hated about the Silent Hill movie. TLDR, I don't just hate it because it doesn't stick 100% to the source material. I also hate it because I legitimately think it's a bad movie. Mortal Kombat, on the other hand, is also flawed, but at least it follows the story of the first game, with a few elements of the second game thrown in. But they also used common sense with design. Visual things that wouldn't look right in real life, like certain moves and costumes, were toned down or left out, and yet the characters and the story are completely recognizable from the games, and the story is easy to follow. Plus, the aforementioned flaws don't hurt the overall story. Another thing that helps Mortal Kombat is that it doesn't take itself 100% seriously. In fact, it's downright silly at times. Basically, it's just really fun to watch. And it is anything but boring. And, to me at least, the same cannot be said about Silent Hill. When a movie is meant to be taken seriously and it misses the mark, sometimes it can be unintentionally hilarious. And Silent Hill Revelation kind of has that effect. But the first movie doesn't go quite so over the top with stupidity, so it's just kind of a depressing letdown. So all things considered, I do feel that Mortal Kombat is a great example of a video game adaptation handled the right way. The funny part is that it was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who would go on to do the Resident Evil movies, which are a lot less faithful, to put it delicately. I personally enjoy the hell out of them, but I will freely admit that good adaptations, they are not. But anyway, as good as the first movie was, Annihilation had to come along and ruin it. And you know what? I was gonna give it a quick little once-over like I did with Poltergeist 3 when I covered Poltergeist. I don't think that would do justice to just how bad it is. Not to mention that I'm curious about how well it follows the third game, and that would involve some research since, like I said, I didn't get too into the third game. Well, people liked it when I trashed Catwoman, and Mortal Kombat Annihilation is about as bad, so I guess you can look forward to that in the future. Well, I think that's all I have to say about Mortal Kombat the movie. I know there were other things like an animated series and a live-action series, but I honestly never watched those, so other than Annihilation, this is it. And that's it for now. See you next time.
Your bills are mine. Oh, no, wait, you can keep this.
Your soul is mine. His name is Soul.